Jag ser, vad menar du?
Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't let me. It is recording mine. All right, so we can go. So first up, Kith and his team. I'm going to make.
Yes.
Do you need me to? I'll make you a co-host now.
Yes, just give me the ability to share my screen, and then we're good to go.
Good. Let me just go on screen setting.
Sure thing.
Share screen. Hold on. All right. So it should go now. Are you able to show?
Yes, I am. Here we go.
All right. So first, let me say this. I would like to introduce Jim for those of you who have not met him or have not been in his class. He's actually a multi-award-winning writer, director, producer, mostly known for things like My Big Fat Greek Wedding, Rescue 911, The Dog Whisperer. So his work has been amazing. Thousands of hours of content, much more than me. My specialty is a little more on the financial side. His specialty is definitely more on the creative and dealing with studios and networks side. So I would like his input to be gearing toward the saleability of something to a potential buyer from the network or the studio side, and also in relation to the creative component. My feedback will be a little bit more on the feasibility side, on the risk mitigation side, on the financial side. So you get two opinions and two sets of thoughts on your pitches. Okay. So Kith, you're on.
All right. Sharing and presenting. All right. We're group number one, and our film, feature film, is called Billionaire Blockchain. And our group, as you can see, is Kathy Buck and Jonathan Kaplan, Shayla Diaz, Carolyn Koch, Josephine Mersch, Daniel Shim, myself, Kip Vanden Heuvel, and Brooke Weaver. The log line here, or just to give you an idea of what we're about. Sorry, let me back up. My view is blocked slightly. Hang on a second. Okay. Wrongfully accused of murder at an LA strip club, a chauffeur and a new crypto billionaire received the help of an unlikely ally to solve the murder and clear their names, which results in leading the henchmen and cops on an outrageous and hilarious car chases across Los Angeles and Vegas. Basically, the synopsis is a young chauffeur named Jack McBride drives the rich and influential around LA, but when he picks up Chad Haverdink, a young new crypto billionaire, Chad hires him for the next 72 hours to be his personal limo driver, and he instructs him to take him to the oldest, seediest strip club in LA. Chad becomes the life of the party, and the girls flock to him there, which enrages a jealous mob boss who attacks the dancer, Trinity, and starts shooting up the place. Jack and Chad rescue Trinity. They leap into Jack's limo and are chased down Sunset Boulevard's neon corridor, narrowly escaping. They decide to get out of town to lay low and go to Vegas, where Chad refuses to lay low. At an upscale strip club in Vegas, Chad gets recognized by the related mob guys from LA and leads the thugs on an epic chase on e-scooters and e-bikes through the strip and old Vegas. Narrowly escaping again, Jack and Trinity save Chad and they go to the ghost town outside of the city to hide and finally lay low. But the mob has tracked them there. The following morning, they're chased through the rugged Nevada desert by the mob, corrupt cops, and bounty hunters. All seems lost until a hilarious fleet of tricked out cars and insane looking vehicles emerge out of the desert and intercede. They are fellow crypto billionaires who are Chad's party fam who descend upon them, intimidating the mob and saving their friend. Jack ends up with Trinity and the two of them leave Chad to be the new party king of Vegas. Our main characters, we were thinking Damon Wayans Jr. plays Jack McBride. He's a chauffeur, he's a dreamer, and he's hopeful that his life will change. And part of the challenge and transformation for him in getting to know Chad is he becomes more loose and open and changes his life. Chad Haverdink, the crypto billionaire, we wanted to see Jimmy O. Yang play this character, who's wild and hilarious character who is an agent of change for both of them. We had Aiza Gonzalez to play Morgan Vasquez, who is the dancer Trinity, who falls in love with Jack and is the catalyst to helping them solve their problems. The producers and the director's vision for this is, we see this as a dichotomy of old money passed down through our story's kingpin group in the nightclub business, like the infamous mobster sharks seen throughout Vegas history. These groups in the movie, they come from old money. and ranging from our fictional gangs and money laundering groups to big real-life banking institutions, up to even our government federal reserves, which are challenged by the quickly popularized cryptocurrencies that we encounter today. So it's really about that balance and that transition from old to new. Our protagonist's wealth was just made in a short period through this particular advancement, and wouldn't have thought of technological currency could gain so much traction and disrupt our markets, as well as making new money winners such as Chad Haverding. So exploring those aspects. Some of the locations that we're looking at are everything from the Fremont Street experience to the Bellagio fountains, Wynn Las Vegas. We really wanted this to capture the feeling and energy of both old Vegas and new Vegas, sort of the, that kind of thing. Just to give you a sense of the mood of the film, you can see, both that old style classic idea of what Vegas is and the modern, the neon and the nightlife just being really dynamic. Our target audience and marketplace is this is an action comedy thriller. Our movie is it's one of the most popular international genres. It's packed with car chases and action, friendships between our main protagonists. There's comedy, there's gambling, parties, things that usually catch the eye of a male population. Our main cast is very diverse, with Damon Wayans Jr., Isa Gonzalez, who's currently has 7 million followers on Instagram, and Jimmy O Yang from Crazy Rich Asians provides broad domestic and international appeal. The locations, both Los Angeles and Vegas, are also very appealing for international audiences. Our brand partnerships, we're looking at General Motors with iconic chauffeur like SUVs like the Escalade, vintage Cadillacs, and now futuristic EV cars like the Cadillac Lyriq. It was a great way to feature that tied into telling our story of old to new. The MGM resorts, the Aria, the Bellagio, the Grand, all these beautiful resorts as a brand partnership as well. Top shelf liquor, since we're taking place in so many clubs, to be able to feature so many of these different high quality brands, and then nightlife and nightlife corporations, that kind of thing that are tied into the Vegas scene. Our marketing plan is to create a highly engaged and interactive social media content. The film website with highly interactive elements, including a face swap app to put users in the poster, a Vegas game, game content, that sort of thing. We want to do a focused like Twitter, Instagram story, TikTok marketing with what would you do choices based on user input, unlocking behind the scenes images, links to a Spotify playlist of music cues, and Ask Me Anythings with cast and director leading up to the release. We cross-promote with the cast on social media. Ms. Gonzalez has a tremendous social media following, as well as what Damon Wayans Jr. and Jimmy O Yang have. We want to do a Spotify playlist inspired by billionaire blockchain, the world, and the energy, including old school Vegas tracks and some of the latest hits from the club. It would be really fun to have a playable Chad Haverding and Morgan Vasquez characters in Fortnite, building those skins as well as in-game tokens and achievements related to the film, so that they can use their energy in that world to be able to engage the gaming audience. VR content of Las Vegas locations to enter the world of the film in VR, using a dedicated VR channel on YouTube VR for the film. And all these different engagements would lead to a sweepstakes to win free movie tickets, as well as capturing people's information to send them direct marketing. Some of our comps include Baby Driver, which is a terrific film, super high energy. Edgar Wright directed that, and their budget was $34 million and did 226 million revenue. Hitman's Bodyguard with Ryan Reynolds and Sam Jackson, Gary Oldman. Also a $30 million budget, with their box office being 176.6 million. Also The Heat, Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy. Again, just a terrific high energy comedy action thriller is exactly the place that we're looking for. As you can see, both the budget being relatively modest, where the box office results really being a very proven format, as well as Central Intelligence with The Rock and Kevin Hart. Relevancy today, in a time where we're learning to step back out among each other, we can't help but think about the past, who we as a culture have been, and who we've been transformed into over the course of this global challenge. And, that's a big part of what this film is about. Some people will be held back wearing masks well after being vaccinated, keeping a safe distance, represented by Jack, while others will attack the world with reckless abandon, freed from the constraints of pandemic life. Our heroes represents both approaches, and while there's value in both, we must try to thread the needle and find a happy medium to move forward as a culture. This is a fun action comedy that honors the old but celebrates the new. And in a town like Vegas, it shows us that both ways can live harmoniously together, and our heroes have to do the same to stay alive. Our top budget sheet, our total budget strike price is $46.9 million, with incentives of $6,528,400 and change in Nevada, as well as $4 million from California. Our total incentives break down to about 10.5 plus change. The gross revenue we projected is 76.2 in change. Our funding sources, looking at our senior and gap loans at 27.5 million, the incentive landing at 10.5, crowdfunding of 106,250 net, brand integration of 450,000 net, and in-kind services of music and post being 2.6 mil. Our equity investment that we would be looking for is 11.78% at 5,890,313. Here's our recoupment from your equity investment of 5,890, 5.9. In the waterfall, you're paid after the bank. You would your equity plus your 20% premium coming back to you is 7,068,370 plus profit participation in the back end. Your total return of your investment would be $3,062,708.48 with a return on your investment of 51.9%. In terms of risk mitigation, we'll have strong North American and international pre-sales. We'll have a collection agency, which is a neutral company, which receive all funds from the movie and pays all the funds through the waterfall to make certain that you get your money. Completion bond ensures that the film will be completed on time and on or under budget. A sales agent that's experienced and bondable, and they'll execute the delivery schedule. Distribution fees will be capped at $150,000, or tax incentives based on 60% production in Nevada and 40% in California. Crowdfunding is not recoupable. It's just free money to us. In-kind services for an outstanding soundtrack that will add value to the project. Our senior loan amount is based on strong pre-sales. There's no mezzanine loan needed at this time. And the contribution we're looking for the equity investor would be around 7%. So that's where we'd also be involved with, having, so the executive producer and the investor would share ownership in the rights of the intellectual property. We're looking at having our director is Edgar Wright, who directed Baby Driver. He's an English director, screenwriter, and producer and actor. He's best known for his comedic Three Flavors Cornetto film trilogy, consisting of Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. And he's a fantastic director. We love his work. Looking at executive producer Jason Blum, he was the executive producer of The Hitman's Bodyguard, Survivor with Pierce Brosnan, Criminal with Kevin Costner. He's experienced both in the comedy scene as well as the action genre, and is he wrote Biodome, so he'd be a terrific partner. We also, as a supervising executive producer, is Jeanette Milio, who has been a tremendous influence on all of us. And as I think we're all aware of Ms. Milio's accomplishments. Consulting producer, Kathy Buck, who's currently in development, executive producing The Iceman, an 8-episode series, and a recent graduate of the UCLA Certificate in Business Management. Kip Vandenheuvel is a producer, from a performer, director, actor at the Second City, with extensive film and television experience, also a recent grad from UCLA Extension Producing. Daniel Shem is a creative producer from Las Vegas, Nevada. He's recently graduated in the top 5% of UNLV's class of 2020. It's a creative entity. His main focus is in filmmaking, while advocating for diversity of various unique peoples and their representation in Hollywood's filmmaking. His current projects revolve around films inspired by Asian culture. Jonathan Kaplan is a creative and research part of the marketing team. He's a 2020 graduate of CSULA with a communication studies major, and working on Billionaire Blockchain will be his first film. He's highly motivated and great to have as part of the team. If you want to contact us and reach out and get more information, please feel free to reach Shayla Diaz or Kip Vandenheuvel at our production team at Blockchain Billionaire LLC. And that's our presentation. I'd love to hear any questions that you might have.
Yay! Great. Well, I have to say, I love your voice. I could hear that all day. It's like, ooh, energy right there.
Thank you.
So, maybe I should have Jim go first, and then I'll throw my stuff in there. Jim, you go first.
Okay. So creatively, obviously, I think the storyline is very interesting. Clearly, it's going to be based on the execution of how strong the script is. but I have a couple of questions. One is, I'm assuming we see in some way, shape, or form somewhere early on in the movie these crazy billionaires and their cars, so they don't just show up out of nowhere. Yes.
Yes, I think when they go to Vegas the first time and you know, Chad starts wilding out at this Vegas strip club, we'll see him connect to some of those folks, so it doesn't feel like a Deus Ex Machina. We'll establish that these guys are his friends and hanging out as part of the party.
Okay, I think it's important so that they just don't show up out of nowhere.
Yes.
You know, obviously a related kind of cousin type movie is Honeymoon in Vegas too, which is nice because
Yeah.
the whole Elvis thing going on, and they set all that up early on, so it actually weaves through the plot really well. I would suggest maybe you take a look at that and think about how you can integrate the crypto peeps
Yes.
in a similar, not exact fashion, but a similar fashion.
Great note. Thank you.
I often hesitate to have people, while studios and networks like having social media influencers with lots of followers, it does not always translate into box office and eyeballs. So you have to kind of think about that. It may be that her 7 million Instagram followers are great, but it may not help you get a pre-sale that you need at this budget level, but I'll leave that to Jeanette. I
Understood.
think your marketing ideas are awesome. As Jeanette knows, I'm a big marketing guy. I love just clever ways of marketing. I think you've maxed out a lot of really clever ideas there. And again, I just think in the end, it's going to be very heavily script driven. Does the script work? Are the characters dimensional enough? Is the comedy funny enough and balanced against the threat and the, you know, it's always very tricky to do comedies where people die. It's been done successfully and can be done successfully, but
Yes.
it's a very tricky balance. But
Yes.
overall, you know, it's a fun project, and I could see Vegas getting way behind it to, you know, get people to come back.
Terrific. Thank you very much.
I love the visual presentation. I love the marketing plan, as Jim said. I think you really thought about how you engage the audience in addition to showing, you know, you can see them on screen, you can see them on the big screen. You're giving the audience and the brands that you're integrating more to play with. You tell them we're doing all this audience integration to attract the audience to this. The Instagram situation with this one cast, I think this added bonus for the marketing plan. I'm not sure it helps with pre-sales, and that's another thing. I'll get to that in a minute. What I liked about your synopsis is that you made it smaller. You know, we talked about it was pretty long. You made it smaller, and I think it's great. It tells us about the action beats. It tells us about story flow. What I would suggest you do already there is that you use words to describe your characters that initiates our first impression of them. You know, when you talk about the lead, give them an adjective like nerdy looking driver. He, you know, now is driving because he wants to have more in his life. You know, he's, you know, sitting by the computer all day. I'm making up something now.
Sure.
But I want to know who this person is just by giving me adjectives. In the ideal world, you're giving us 2 or 3 adjectives or verbs that describe him, that also give us an idea of where his issue lays and where potential conflict would be and where potential motivational sources can be. When you describe someone, think about describing the whole person, but describing them, you know, giving them 3 descriptive words that will tell us who they are in the synopsis.
Okay.
I would do that for both lead characters, or all the 3 lead characters. And I would do it in a way that what you're describing is already connecting to the conflicts that we might find them in later. So it's short, but very defined kind of a description of who that person is. You know, I know it's sometimes not easy to do, but that alone will elevate the story in a whole different area creatively, because you're now giving me not just the action sequences and the beautiful visuals of Vegas and LA and the vibes, all of that is great. But you're also telling me who these people are and what we are about to see that happens to them. And I see it already in the synopsis, so that's important. You go into more detail when you go into their character. There you talk about who they are today, where they're going to end up, what part of the journey is, and where the conflict and motivations lay. So in addition to the plot-driven components of the character and what they're ingrained in, you need to think about their emotional status today and where they will be at the end and what's kind of in the middle. So there you kind of go into it a little deeper when you talk about this character. And that's important because when you go out to cast this role, the actors want to get an essence of who this character is very early on. They want to know, is there juice in there for me to play? Is that, am I going to be torn? Am I going to play a character who gets out of their shell? Am I going to be a character who has emotional growth? All these things are important for actors to attach. So when you then go and say, here's the actors that I want to attach, they can already, see for themselves, this is something I want to play because I haven't played it before or something like that. So think about, and you are a performer, think about what the actors would want to see in that role and why they would attach. I would put
so quick question to follow up on that, just to make certain in the character description that there's a full arc, like the full journey of the character, right? Or even if it's like not saying exactly where they land up, give enough of a trajectory that they can plot and fill in their own details.
Exactly. Because that's where you're not only giving me as the executive an idea of the creative level that I'm dealing with on the character story level, but you're also helping the actors to understand what kind of role they're playing. You're going to have to do it anyway, because you need to get through them. And the more interesting the character sounds, the more multifaceted it comes across, the better it is for me as an executive and for the actor who wants to play this part. It also helps the director to kind of lead the movie in that direction and guide the actor in that direction to what he wants to see out of him. Sometimes it's also a conversation you would have with the director, obviously, how he would describe this character, what he would want to see on screen. But for you, you need to be clear of what it is because you're the producer, so you're starting it. I would introduce the director at the time you're introducing the cast, because that's kind of your
okay.
So I would put that
Yes.
there. I like the combination between the old and the new Las Vegas and LA. And I also like the combination between the old money and the new money, right? The crypto and all that. You're bringing in a level there that hasn't been seen before, which to me makes this project stand out and differentiates it from all the similar projects you have mentioned, because none of them deal with this. I would spend a little time on the character, the billionaire character and the crypto stuff, to kind of give it a little bit of an edge, because you have an additional story edge that you can play with here that elevates your story and makes it relevant today also, and makes it different and stand out. So think about a content component that could be juicy in the whole cryptocurrency blockchain situation there. Maybe this guy manipulated the blockchain to make himself more money, and now he's being chased. I mean,
Yeah.
coming up with, I'm not very creative, but
Can
something.
sorry.
Elevate.
I just want to mention something. I did a reality series in Lake Tahoe with a millionaire who owned a casino. And one of the interesting things that he did, he had a property that was so large that they could detonate bombs on it and shoot rocket launchers on it. Because as long as the ammunition never left his property, he could do whatever he wanted. So there's a lot of crazy stuff these people could be doing with their new money,
Yes, that's awesome.
To Jeanette's point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The music rights, you mentioned that you're going to do the soundtrack thing. Obviously, you need to deal with the licensing. You need to kind of make sure, I mean, you know this, but you want to make sure that you actually have the rights of the music you want to put on a soundtrack. Those are just things that to think about. The one thing I missed in your finance plan was, did I miss the pre-sales in there as a criteria to finance, or did you how many pre-sales?
You may have. In all fairness to the folks who put together our top sheet and all that, I did the summary, and
Yes.
that was something that had been delegated, and we didn't get an opportunity to get on the same page about that. So that's if there is, that's my error when I was assembling that part of it.
No, it's fine. What you want to do is you want to show me the finance sources as here's, because you're telling me my equity is going to be, what is it, 7% or what it was, or 11, something like that. You want to say, here's how the finance plan is composed. We're going to have, you did the tax credit really nice, Las Vegas tax credit, Nevada tax credit, California tax credit. And then I want to see, we're aiming to make this amount of money in pre-sales. We're aiming to get this amount of money from the bank. We're aiming to get this amount of money from brand integration. So just show me all the various,
More on those things.
and then when you get to
Okay.
revenues, I want to see how these revenues are comprised. You basically just said worldwide revenues. I don't know what is it, domestic, is it box office? What is it?
Yeah.
Show me that this portion is coming from international distribution rights. This portion is coming from US distribution rights. We are not including any potential box office revenues. That's important because all you're doing there is minimum sales. So make that clear to an investor that you're not taking any box office risk. You're doing a license sale. You get this money up front, no matter how the movie is performing. That's a very important risk to mention to the investor, that they're not subject to any box office tanking that could potentially occur. You know,
Yes.
just put that in somewhere.
Okay.
These were all my comments. I hope they're helpful.
I would
Great.
just like,
Wonderful.
I'd just like to add one more thing, and Kif, I'm not taking it out on you, but you pitched first, so you're the lottery winner. A lot of times when people are pitching, I don't need you to read what's already on the screen. I'd like you to augment what's on the screen, whether it's with bullet points or adding additional information. Because if you're just reading what's up there, you're not giving me anything extra. And it's a thing that a lot of people do, so I'm not singling you out. I'm just saying, in general, whenever you can augment what's on the screen, it's always better for the person being pitched to.
Yeah. And you know what, Jim, to that point, I know better, and I should have done better. Thank you for that comment.
No,
I will take it in. It's true. It's totally true.
I actually say that I didn't mind it at all because the way you played it, you did it in such an actor voice. I was like, oh, I like this. I'm already in the movie. So I that's why I didn't comment on it, because I thought it was great presented. And your synopsis is so nice and sweet and short. And it didn't feel like long. It wasn't taking anything away. Right. And when I'm listening to something, frankly, I'm not reading what's on the screen. I'm listening to your performance, so to speak. But Jim is right. You don't want to be, you know, if it's a longer synopsis, you don't want to be reading everything. For anyone else who's not, you know, having such an amazing, entertaining voice, it would probably be a different situation. But in this case, I thought it was a fabulous presentation all around. Really, thank you so much for this.
Thank you very much.
Who do we have next? Number 2.
Hey, we're up.
Hold on, I need to let you go. I need to make you a screen thingy. What is it called? Screen sharing thingy. Who was second again? I already forgot.
Toru.
It's Toru.
Toru. Yes, hold on, Toru. Let me make you co-host. Who?
Excuse me, Jeanette, before we started, I just wanted to ask, maybe it would be possible so that William and I would be next, because I will need to go soon. So if it's possible to let us pitch the deck.
Sure, fine. You can go after Toru. Perfect.
Okay. Thank you so much.
I'm going to actually make you co-host now and then make William co-host too. So Toru, you can start.
Okay, let me try. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Great.
You'll see it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much. Our group is with Emma, Jillian, and Roland, myself. Jillian had an emergency, so she can't be here today, but we will go ahead and pitch this project to you. We'll start with Emma with the story and cast and packaging. And then Roland. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I'm going to need to unmute her. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Standard. Let me see where Emma is. Emma, I'm going to unmute you. Who else am I unmuting, Toru?
Thank you, Jeanette.
You're very welcome. Toru, anyone else I need to make a co-host in your group?
Rowan.
Rowan, let me find her. There you are. I'll make you co-host too. All right, I got you all. Everyone should be co-hosting.
Okay.
Perfect.
So Emma will start with the story and the cast, and then Rowan will talk about the marketability, and I'll talk about the finance piece. So let's get going.
All right.
So welcome to The Absence of Death. This story is about when people lose the ability to die. Mayhem ensues, and the fate of the world lies on the shoulders of a lonely alcoholic. It's a 90-minute action comedy. It's a mix between Hot Fuzz and R.I.P.D. So basically this story follows Tony Mercer and his lovely wife Amy, and they are very much in love and at a picnic when suddenly Amy is taken by death. Tony goes into a depression, obsessed with finding his missing wife. Now it's important to note that death is actually a human named Marcel that becomes death. It's a trippy concept, but it's a fun one that the audience can get into because it's basically assigning that death is a person. It gets passed down from person to person, and they assign who dies. It's a basic take on the Grim Reaper, trying to give an idea of what happens after life. So anyway, Amy is gone, taken by death, and is going to be crowned the new death. She's given a list, and she has to go through and kill people off the list when it's their time. But she refuses. So no one is dying because Amy, as the new death, isn't killing anyone. So obviously, some mayhem ensues. Amanda is a psychic. She becomes Tony's sidekick. She accompanies Tony to Horrible Hill, which is where Amy is held, and they have to face 3 tests. The first is to prove they're not afraid, the second to prove their worthiness, and the third of destiny. So they make it through all 3 of their tests. It's a sort of quest-like story. And Tony is reunited with Amy only to be confirmed that she is in fact death. So now they have a problem. They have to solve Amy's predicament as death, and they need to assign someone new to death. So they assign their newspaper man, Price. Price becomes death, but he goes crazy. He starts killing people randomly. He's not paying attention to the list. The important thing to note is that Death's one job is to pay attention to the list, and Death isn't, as Price is not paying attention to the list. So he's killing everyone like crazy. This is a huge problem. So the original Death, Marcel, says, hey, we have to fix this. So Amy and Tony go on a journey to try and find a new death, and they land on Amanda's sister, who takes the role on and takes it on and does a good job, and equilibrium returns, and people die one by one off the list as they're supposed to.
Great concept.
So, the characters. Tony Mercer is a renegade alcoholic obsessed with finding his missing wife. And who else could play that but Ryan Reynolds? Because Ryan Reynolds, if nothing else, is a renegade. I cannot confirm alcoholic, but would make a great fictional one. And I think it would be a really fun concept for him, especially coming off of his roles like Deadpool and Detective Pikachu, where he gets to play this sort of whimsical anti-hero in the case of Deadpool and Detective Pikachu. So I think it fits really well into his characters we know and love him for. And I think he would bring a lot of humor and comedy into the story. So Amy Mercer, then, we thought it would be really fun to have as Blake Lively. Beautiful, loving wife, but more than that, she's vivacious, she's got will, she refuses to kill people even when there doesn't seem to be any other option for her. And I think Blake Lively would make a wonderful addition to the cast. And more than that, I think the combination of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds would be such a draw for audiences because everyone sort of loves their internet relationship and their relationship in the press. They're kind of one of those couple goals in Hollywood. So to have them both signed on to a project like this, I think could add so much light and levity. And then, of course, we have Michael Caine as the original Death, sort of a grandfatherly disappointed patriarch to the story. He wants to pass on his duties, and I think he's tired and he's ready to end his ordeal, and he's frustrated that everyone he tries to give it to fails so miserably in their duty. And so I think Michael Caine as this sort of tired, gentlemanly British man could make such a fun juxtaposition to just the sheer Americanness of Blake and Ryan. So I think that would be really fantastic. And then we get into Amanda. Amanda, we were thinking could be played by Letitia Wright. She is funny. She's got this amazing humor and wit that we saw mainstream in Black Panther. And I think it'd be such a fun combo to see the back and forth between Ryan Reynolds and Letitia Wright. And then Martha, the older sister, as Uma Thurman. I think it would be great to pull in sort of that classic Quentin Tarantino kind of energy that only Uma Thurman can bring. And she is struggling with her own loss, which I think makes this for a very interesting story, while trying to deal with a little brother like Tony. And then, of course, for Price, this punk kid, who else but Machine Gun Kelly. He's been in a lot of great indie films that our lower budget, which I think is really interesting because he brings so much press and energy because of his music and just his life. And so I think it'd be great to bring him into another indie action comedy. And I think he would be great for this punk kid who goes on a killing spree. So our creative team, we were thinking producer Simon Kinberg. He was on the original Deadpool as a producer, as well as the second and third, as well as the Twilight Zone and Cinderella. What we loved about Simon Kinberg is he has Deadpool, which we all know and love is this snarky, rated R movie, but he also has Cinderella. And I think at the heart of Absence of Death, it's also a love story. Tony is going about trying to save his love, and I think to bring in that softer, romantic movie as a producer would be a really interesting touch. So I think that Simon Kinberg is fantastic. And then Ryan Reynolds, Maximum Efforts, his own production company, bringing him in, especially now that he's taking on a producer role with Deadpool 2 and 3 and Free Guy. And then Rob Letterman, the director of Detective Pikachu, Goosebumps, and Gulliver's Travels. We would love this sort of like edged up version for him in his career where it's still this funny movie style that he's so great at, and it's just a little more risque.
Wow.
Yeah, great. So for the relevance for today, so in looking at trends for action comedy movies that we felt fit our script, we really saw the most successful films were able to meld these two genres. As you can see by some of our comparable titles below, like The Hitman's Bodyguard, Hot Fuzz, and R.I.P.D. And so you can see for our first two movies, they're in that mid to low budget with being 11 to 30 million. And they had really good box office returns. While in looking at more R.I.P.D., we saw with that higher budget that they still didn't really experience as much of the returns. So that's why when we were deciding our budget for our movie, we picked 20 million. And so we really felt that would give us that predictable return for a mid to low budget action movie that we were trying to film. And then next, we looked at how action and comedy genres just have performed historically over the years. And so they've really shown some consistent performance over these 20 years. And with actors like Ryan Reynolds that are really revitalizing the genres of action and comedy, we felt doing a movie with both of these would really give us a predictable box office success. And moving on to the marketability and our target audience, we were aiming it towards men in their 20s as well as married couples because we felt these groups would really resonate most with the film, with it being kind of that action comedy with a love story. So we kept this audience in mind in choosing our talent that Emma just went over and really trying to garner not only that international presence, but also the music market as well with our cast. And so even below with our two main leads, we just wanted to highlight that as they are very popular in the US, they're also even outside the US in our Facebook kind of audience insights. We found that both Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively showed promise with men and women between 24 and 44. So for our partnerships, we really wanted to leverage Ryan Reynolds' existing relationships that he has in playing up his authenticity and brands within the movie. So the first one kind of I wanted to touch on that we've already mentioned in the producer is his company, Maximum Effort. We really felt that, you know, it'd be a good fit for that action comedy romance that we've seen with Deadpool and really provide that organic promo with the cast. And the next partnership was with Aviation Gin. This is the gin distillery that Ryan also has some part ownership with, and we wanted to kind of showcase it in some product placement, maybe being Death's kind of drink of choice to unwind. For our third partnership, we wanted to use Mint Mobile, and we felt this be also a good place for any of the cell phones in the movie to kind of have those product placement in there. And then we also wanted to partner with Interscope Records, which is the company that Machine Gun Kelly is under, and have him kind of create an original song for the movie soundtrack, and felt that his kind of grunge type music would be a good fit for our film. And our last partnership is with Wrexham National League Club. And we felt that it'd be a cool idea to have Tony, played by Ryan, be a fan of the team and kind of have that showcase maybe in him wearing a jersey of some sort, and also help to draw in that international presence along with our cast.
Cool. On to the financial model. The budget, as mentioned, is about 20 million. And hold on. International sales estimate going to be about 70% of the budget at 14 million. With the international pre-sales already made up to 6 million, which is 33% of the budget with France, Germany, UK, and Japan. And US sales estimate is 50. Just a snapshot of the financial source. International sales, collateral senior loan, 37%, and then equity at 30%. Tax incentive, we're going to take advantage of Canada. Well, Ryan Reynolds being Canadian, one thing, but story-wise, Toronto has really good like environment that would be suitable for the various scenes on this movie, as well as they have ample sound stages and post-production facilities that we can take advantage of. So that was the reason for Canada. And brand integration, as Rowan explained, we have about $1 million for these various brands. And we already have commitment from the lead cast, the agencies, and we have an international sales agent, Double Dutch International, who has committed to becoming a sales agent for this project. And Ryan Reynolds, maximum effort, brand integration, we have the commitment from them also. And some details on the financials for later discussions. That's pretty much it.
Wow. Bravo.
Very good.
I love the title, Absence of Death. That I want to see. Jim, do you want to start first?
Yes, I do. I think you're onto something. And if you haven't done it already, I would write an extended treatment and register it with the Writers Guild of America and copyright it as quickly as possible. It does not have to be perfect. It just has to tell the story. However, I do think there's something you could take advantage of. If you remember the movie Gremlins, the great thing about what you're doing is the death scenario is whatever you make it to be. And what they did in Gremlins, there were 3 rules, don't feed them after midnight, don't get them wet. Same thing. We need to have very clear rules of how this death thing works, really simple, clear, and the movie's got to kind of, you get to set the rules. So make the rule and then live by them, right? I think it's a very, very clever idea. It's unique enough that yes, we've seen other shows dealing with deaths and deaths of loved ones and trying to get them back. But I think this is super clever. I don't think you can get it made for 20 million with Ryan Reynolds, but I'll let Jeanette handle that. But I think story-wise, it's very, very clever. I think the way you've thought about casting it is also very clever. The only thing I think that really didn't make total sense to me, this is what Jeanette said about the other thing. Let's understand where every character is when this movie starts and how death is going to transform them. It's the ultimate journey, right? So let's take them on this journey and how this journey is going to transform them when they get to the other side of not dying, right? So I think that's important to get in there too. And then the only other thing that just didn't feel, and I like you leveraging Ryan's businesses and stuff like that, but the soccer thing, unless it's really super integrated into the story, I don't know why it's there other than just to kind of throw something in there. Other than that though, I think it's a very clever story.
Thank you.
I love the title. I love the title. And you had me with the title, really. I love the concept. I love, the difference. First of all, Grim Reaper is one of my favorite TV shows, so you had me there. I think it's a fantastic concept, and I think the way they deal with it in this dark yet fun way, I think you get that across here. I feel like this is the dark, fun movie version of that. It has some seriousness to it, which I like, but it also has lightness to it. So that combination is always good. In comparison to what Kip did, you use these adjectives, the describing words with your characters already. So just for you, Kip, as I don't know if he's still there, if you're comparing how Rowan, was it Rowan? No, it was Emma. How Emma described her characters early on, so we could literally see them come alive just by using these few words that she used by describing them. That's what I was talking about earlier. So it's a great character description. Jim is right. Maybe in the detail of the character description, one could go a little bit more into their journey. I get it. But in the synopsis form, it was just perfect because I had an immediate sense of who these people are and I was totally intrigued and I wanted to go follow them. The team that you chose is great. The cast you chose is great. I love the way how you compare the budget. I think the budget level is fine. Should be somewhere between 20 and 30. I think that's fine, even with Ryan Reynolds, when, you know, he's going to have to do it because it's just great. I love the director you chose because it is, he's very seasoned, of course, but it is something that I think he would want to do because it's the extra level. It gives his work the extra little kick that he might want to see. And it is a director who can attract the kind of cast that you want. So it was a very smart choice. The brands worked for me. The soccer thing, okay, I didn't even notice, honestly, that went right over my head, but the brands worked. They all seemed fine. I mean, Jim is the marketing person in the family, so I'm like, yeah, whatever. Love the finance plan. We went into much detail about what you want to do, where the money's coming from. I would encourage you all to inform us that you're using the incentives as a loan that is paid up front, because we know this in the class because we learn it every day, but the investor might not know that you're actually getting this paid up front. So there is no risk in getting it. I did not understand how you get to 50 million from the US. How does that compute?
That was based on like the benchmark of the other titles with Ryan Reynolds and the genre.
Okay.
And it was a pure projection for sure.
Okay, here is where I think that's dangerous because you're now mixing potentially box office with licensing. And when you license a movie like this, might be wrong. I've never seen a pure license to be more than the budget unless it's Spielberg directing, because you wanna make the investor understand, again here too, because you're dealing with pre-sales, which is great because you're making licensed sales and you make the investor understand that this is a minimum payment. There is more to come. There's more to enjoy if this thing booms. The US is a similar thing. I think if you go and do the US at like 15 or 20, I wouldn't do more than that. You know, it's dangerous to be so high because the US is such a volatile market. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's nothing. But if you do any of these finance plans, do yourself a favor and kind of stick around the 30% mark of the budget. Can't go wrong there. Usually you can get it sold for about that. And I don't think it's going to affect your ROI that much if you keep it on a real level like that. And then the other thing, I love that you put the LOIs in there. I think that's great. The one thing I did miss, this is the only thing that I would criticize, everything else was great. I am not sure I can see, I felt like I'm missing visuals, you know, like the mood, what colors are you choosing? Where are you shooting? What's kind of the feel, the emotional visual feel of the movie? That's the only thing I think you could have added, even with the other information, to kind of get me into the boat, get me to like the emotional visual boat of it. Yeah. I got everything else, but I wasn't clear where am I color wise, mood wise.
Like what does Michael Caine's death look like, right? That's
right. Yeah. No, totally get it.
You know, something like when you give me Grim Reaper, I get it, but you didn't really use Grim Reaper in the description, for example. If you could have taken visuals from that, I think that would have gotten me there. If that makes sense.
Yep.
That's it.
Good.
Well done, Toad. Well done.
Thank you.
And you know what? I also think this would be a great idea for a series. So for sure, register with the WGA because I think it's a great concept and it's a fresh concept. So really, really good. You never know.
I would take it straight to Sony, wouldn't you, Jeanette? Just kidding, Toad. Just kidding.
Sony, with all the shit that's going on over there? I don't think so. Okay, we can have a conversation about that on offline.
I'll talk to my boss.
That was a joke at Tony.
All right, thank you.
They have to figure themselves out first. Love them, sold a lot of movies to them, so don't take me wrong. Big Sony fan, yeah. Okay, there we go. I think Rosa, you want to go next, right?
Yes, Rose and William, we want to be next.
Yes, William, I think you're already on, I think you both are ready to share a screen. So whoever wants to share can share.
Okay, William, do you think I should do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. 1 second. Mhm. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, it's beautiful.
Okay, hello everybody, my name is Rosa.
And I'm William.
And today we're going to present the project that we are developing in this month, Sunset Haze. Hold on, let me. My name is Rosa Marchenko. I'm originally from Ukraine. I'm associate producer in Back Entertainment and also under Wonder Content, which is music video production. And also I'm going to be a co-producer of this project.
And I'm William Herbst. I'm from Texas originally. I'm currently a senior analyst at Disney Plus, and I've been with the Walt Disney Company for 4 years. And Rose is going to give us a little bit of more description about this project.
Yes. Well, our project is going to be an action drama, which is right now show the demand in this industry. We're going to tell the story about Sunset, a 20-year-old girl who wants to become a musician, is forced to rob a bank in order to support her sick father, embarking on a life-threatening road to self-discovery. Related films that we have in mind with William, this is the Fast and Furious, Sons of Archie, Baby Driver, Coyote Ugly, Catch, That Kid, and Drive.
Yeah, so to give a little bit more color on the actual story, I'll give the rundown of the synopsis. So Sunset is a real dynamo and daredevil young woman behind the motorcycle. She's just an incredible driver. And so she wants to pursue her career in music and has been working in her father's garage to save up money to be able to support herself. But later in the film, it turns out that her father has stage 3 cancer and is unable to really afford treatment to be able to escape death, and just accepts his fate that he's likely going to pass away. Sunset, unwilling to relent, it wants to do whatever it takes to be able to provide money for her father's treatment, and so is trying to find different ways to be able to pursue that. And she confronts a mysterious customer of her father's garage named Sabrina to try to find a way to pursue that. Sabrina, owing money to this other, the bad guy of the film, Bobby Solano, and his Rough Riders motorcycle club, has a desire to assemble a crew for a heist, and sees Sunset's ability behind the motorcycle as a real asset. And so together they just devise a plan to rob a bank for a heist.
In this project, we already working with very talented lead producers of this project, Marco De Molina and Nicole E. Hatz. Marco De Molina, he is a producer who working also in the music video industry and getting in the film industry. And he did a couple of feature films, Southern Tale and Influencia, with a director, Pablo Aura, who has a really good reputation in Mexican film industry. Becky, Red Light, Four Queens in Development, and also Cake. Nicole Ihas, she is an awesome entrepreneur. She has a company that provides with financing independent movies, and also she has some connections with Sony Music Entertainment as her sister and her oldest sister. They have the company that helps to manage artists. So yes.
To give a little bit more color into like the visuals and our vision for the story, it's really just a really powerful movie about female empowerment at a macro level. We're thinking about taking this story taking place in New Mexico, desert and mountains, really focused on female empowerment, badassery, and being behind motorcycles, a real sort of culture that maybe not most people don't know about. It's going to be filled with police chases and money, leather and denim outfits, really just creating an exciting world about motorcyclists and in the form of a heist movie.
Yes, for lead's role for Sunset Hayes, we want young, really attractive, smart, sophisticated, strong person, and we think that woman that could personalize the character. We're thinking about Olivia Rodrigo, Luna Blaze, and Isa Gonzalez that we think could really show and to reveal the character that we're looking for. For Sabrina Travers, dominant presence, really tough and athletic woman that she knows what she wants. She's a leader. She knows how to take charge of things. We're thinking about Charlize Theron, Halle Berry, and Michelle Rodriguez to take this role and just empathize this character that we're looking for.
And then for our lead villain in the film, we have Bobby Solano, who's kind of like a real tough guy and you know, determined to make sure that his debt is repaid and is really just the villain of the film. And so some of the characters that some of the actors that we believe would fit this role are Norman Reedus, Ron Perlman, and Woody Harrelson, some previous actors who have kind of had experience either behind the motorcycle world or have kind of played that villain role before. And then moving on to directors, we have three options that we're thinking of: Edgar Wright, Greta Gerwig, and Lee Toland Krieger. Edgar Wright, obviously with Baby Driver, has really kind of cemented himself in kind of like that high sort of world. So we think that he would be a really good fit for that. Greta Gerwig is her previous films that she's done is really focused on female empowerment. And we think she would be able to do a pretty good job of introducing this world from a female's perspective. And then Lee Toland Krieger has been doing a phenomenal job on the TV series if we ultimately want to maybe make this into a limited series. So moving on, for the shooting location, we're thinking New Mexico, as I alluded to earlier. The reasons why we're thinking of that is the setting elements. One, so the desert and mountains could be really beautiful. The sunsets there are gorgeous as well, really capture the name of the title. And then also the bike and motorcyclist environment there also fits the setting very well. There's been other movies and shows shot in New Mexico that really also kind of capture the vibe that we're looking for. So El Camino, Breaking Bad, Wild Hogs, the list goes on, and those type of movies that kind of capture that culture and vision that we have in mind. And then finally, from a finance perspective, the tax incentives there are some of the best in the country. So you have 25% production incentive for almost all the items with no minimum spend required.
Yes, talking about targeted audience and marketplace, searching, we found with William that in today's marketplace, successful films with female leads and directors are now like in a higher demand than ever. And Sunset Hayes will probably further this cause and do so with an action-packed wallop lead by this main character, Sunset, a strong and strong person, fiercely independent young woman fighting for her dreams and those she loves, which is really important. At this core, the film will be inspiring to any viewer, regardless of gender, and leaving them internet the pump to go out and take charge in forging their own destiny. And over the last decade alone, aside from the male norm, millions of women have also turned in motorcycle path, which is really, really fascinating. And
show the next slide.
Yes. So regards to the marketing plan, William?
Yeah, so in regards to the marketing plan, it's really just leaning into that sort of that rising space within women as a kind of a starting point for foundation for our marketing plan, targeting those women initially, and then kind of branching out to focus on like the overall story, the connection to family is an appealing theme and element that would drive a bigger audience. And then also the action-packed sequences that are focused on within heist movies, big money, tough characters. And then obviously like the great talent that we are hoping to attach to this project would also help drive the story and the marketing plan.
Yes, hold on.
And so for branding and music licensing perspective, branding, there's a ton of different options that we can go, anything from like a motorcycle, different motorcycle brands, to some of the clothes that they're wearing with the different types of leather and jean outfits and attire. So there's a lot of potential there from a branding perspective. And then on a music side, we really want to have like a powerful soundtrack, really work with the different record labels to be able to have like a really cool soundtrack associated with the project, and with a variety of different songs from different ages that kind of fit the different scenes in the moment. So really branching out our music taste and audience. And so in addition, if we are able to land Olivia Rodrigo, we're hoping that she would be able to provide a new song for our soundtrack as well, which could help with that as well. And then so here we go into a little bit more about the finances. So on the left is our top sheet budget. We're hoping to get a $20 million budget with the talent really driving the majority of the budget at $8 million. We have a strike price of $18.6 million. And then moving on to the sales sheet, we have it projected at 75% of that budget as our ask and our take at 50%.
Yes, international sales assumptions. We're using ask as international sales estimates for 75%. And international pre-sales, it is 30% of the budget.
Mm-hmm. And then as the prelim finance plan, we're using different financial elements. So using a gap loan, we're using the senior loan and the gap loan to cash flow our project. We have the brand integration aspect, and then we also have the in-kind services from the music investment, and then also the VFX costs to help us. So the equity investment that we're asking for is about 23%. And so with that, based on, there's different ways you can play around with this, obviously, but based on a 35% US sale, which is maybe a little bit aggressive, our investor would be able to get a return of about 30.5% after the premium and taking into account the participations associated with that profit.
Yes, and for risk and mitigation plan in categories, we have film production insurance, delivery of the project, profitability and distribution of profile. Film production insurance, this is the risk that we have, the talent production staff, costs, loss, and liability equipment damages. So we're going to have production insurance policies and equipment coverage, like the insurance that cover the equipment, the people, stunts, and all this. Delivery of the project, because sometimes the project can be not made in time, in order to secure the leading finance and ensure the delivery of a finishing title, our production will secure the completion bond. And this is our, and this is our mitigation strategy. Hold on.
And then with that, we also have some comparable films. Can you go back one slide?
Yes, hold on, let me.
So based on some of our comp movies, we have Fast and Furious and Baby Driver is kind of the sort of movies that we're kind of having in mind for the overarching tone of the movie. And then on the lower budget side, could you go down to the next slide? We have Driver and we have Driver and Coyote Ugly. who also kind of have some of the similar elements that we're looking for in a movie. Obviously, we're not basing our projections on worldwide box office performance, but it is nice to see some of the North Stars that we are kind of aiming for in the movies that we're trying to match and how well they've done. And so that's it. That's Sunset Haze.
Bravo. Great job, guys. Really nice. Jim, you want to go first?
Sure. So a couple things. The story is not really very 100% clear to me. Is she a singer, songwriter, musician, combination of all three?
So she grew. What we had in mind is Sunset kind of grew up in under her father's wing, and from that she became a really good motorcyclist. But throughout, like her ultimate goal in life is to be a musician, and so she's working out of her father's garage to be able to save up money and to be able to afford to be able to pursue that career.
Right, but what is that career? Is she a singer, songwriter?
Singer. Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I think it might help if maybe she's a singer and a songwriter, and
okay.
maybe she's not doing all that well, or certainly not as well as she would like, and maybe the situation with her father and getting into the situation maybe forces her to go deeper into songwriting, and maybe the song that comes out of this that she performs somewhere in the middle of this is a much more powerful thing, and she kind of finds herself through the story, I think, because it just seemed a little wishy-washy to me on that aspect. I mean, I like the element of the motorcycle, and it obviously has a Breaking Bad kind of thing going on where she has to do something she doesn't really want to do in order to save her dad's life. I like that element, and maybe there's some twists and turns where dealing with the bad guy, she's able to one-up him. I think you got to be really careful with the villain, that he's not one-dimensional, because a lot of these guys become very one-dimensional, so you got to try to make this villain a little bit more interesting than the normal thing that I think you've set up.
Okay.
But it's an interesting arena. I'm not sure Drive is comparable, because a lot of and also Fast and Furious has a lot of heavy male in it. I mean, I think some of the other.
Would you say Hustlers is maybe a better comp?
Yeah, because you're really trying to push it as a female empowerment thing. So I think you're sending us in a wrong direction when you have these kind of heavily male skewed action movies, even though they're in the genre.
Okay.
So I think if you work a little bit more on the story and the characters and what's going to happen, I think the arena is definitely interesting.
Got it. Thanks, Jim.
All right, I have a few notes. Okay. First off, I love the visuals. I love that you're going into an area that is very unknown. Females on bikes. I can't even think of anything that I've seen that works in that arena. I find it fascinating. I think to Jim's point, you're leading us in the wrong direction with these heist movies. You're also leading us in the wrong direction with the action drama, because the heist movies and the stuff that you're referencing is all action, period. I mean, there's action, that's it. There's not much drama going on. There's some drama going on. The drama part of your genre comes with showing this woman in a multifaceted way. She's female, she's strong, she's riding a bike, but she also has this sensitive, nurturing side to her. She takes care of her dad, she helps him in the garage. She has a creative side by being a singer-songwriter. So if you describe a character that is multifaceted like that, she's not just a ass-kicking, great driver on her bicycle, but she's also this very nurturing, soft character. It's not something that you see often. You don't really see often strong women who also show the other nurturing, soft, sensitive side. That's what I like about this character. I would push that button a little more.
Okay.
And especially in comparison to this male-driven world. And she's working in the garage, with her dad. I'm guessing garage meaning repairing cars and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is also great. To the singer-songwriter side, what came to mind to me is that the work in the garage is to help her dad. And of course, she likes riding a bike because that's maybe her way of freeing herself or feeling free and just getting out of it kind of thing, right? The singing side is maybe something that she has a really good voice. She's very sensitive, therefore creative and can write. And maybe we see her singing in the garage. Usually they have great acoustics in these big garages. They're like churches in a way they're built because they usually have high roofs and stuff. So maybe it's something that she does when she's like under the car or something, you know, repairing something, and we see her sing that, and maybe her dad is like, oh my God, that's an interesting song. When did you come up with that? So it's something, it's a love that she has and a beauty that she has that her dad, his sensitive side, actually shares with her. Maybe something that combines them. Or, you know, I would give this more value is what I'm saying. I would give this more attention, but not the general, I want to be a superstar, I'm like Lady Gaga too. It's more like she does this because it's her emotional outlet, like, you know, racing her bike is, but it's a different way of outlet. And maybe she just performs in the local pub and she's just known for being great there. And maybe her ambition is, yeah, if I make money like this is great, but I really am, I'm here to support my dad, and I'm working in the garage and I kind of like it. And maybe the music thing is more for herself rather than wanting to become a pop star. I don't know. Because
Got it.
become a pop star, that thing has been seen, done. This other side is more like, it could, you know, maybe she'll become one because she gets discovered or some Hollywood bullshit. But I want to give it more value on an emotional character, motivational level, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Because I think we've seen, like, you know, Coyote Ugly and so we've seen it. I love the culture that you place this in is very fresh and very new. The story, I think you do need to work on, to Jim's point. I see more than what was there because I can sense this character. I feel familiar with her, but that's just me because I'm, you know, a strong woman who cries at any movie I see. I'm like similar to that. I do think that the story itself needs a little work. You need to structure what's happening here. Why is she robbing the bank? How does she get to rob the bank? What's the relationship with the villain? Who's the villain? I need to see a kick-ass bad villain who has multiple problems and is dangerous because XYZ. I didn't understand the villain at all. I have no idea who that person is, what they want, and why is he even dangerous? You know,
Got it.
I think you need to work on that story a little more. The marketing is great. I love what you're going for in the marketing. You really thought that through because you're entering an area that I think a lot of brands would like to be in and recognize this is a new area. We got to be in there because women are accessing this and it's underserved. So I think that's a great aspect.
Hey, can I add one thing? Can I add
Yeah.
one thing? One thing you could really maybe get motorcycle companies excited about is to do like a first-time rider event for women who've never even thought about doing this. It's a connection with the release of the film. So it's like they have these rides, but maybe it's a first-timer event for just to get women to try it for the first time. They don't have to buy a bike; they can rent it or something. You know, just again, it's a marketing thing. And you're appealing to the core audience you want to watch the movie.
Yeah,
Right.
that's really exciting. Yeah.
Cool.
So the synopsis has to be more detailed, especially in regards to story.
Mhm.
Story level 1, story level 2, meaning 1 meaning the plot, 2 meaning character, lead character, C meaning villain. You need to intertwine that a little more. I need to understand what's going on there and why I want to watch this, why this is dangerous, what's happening here.
Okay.
So character osmotives we talked about. The finance plan, I got lost on the finance plan. Because when you do 50% take and you pre-sale 30%, you're left with 20%. How are you going to make money?
Sorry, say that again.
So you said your take is 50%, your pre-sales are 30%. You're really only having 20% that you can make money with. I'm not sure I understand how the investor's making money there. Maybe I overlooked something.
So
Also, why are you going so low on your international? Do you not believe in this to be an international genre? Why don't you understand?
we thought that this might be more, well, we thought I hate to say this, but we're kind of like banking more on a US domestic performance than maybe an international one, because the motorcycle scene is bigger here in the United States than in the foreign market. But maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're wrong.
Okay.
Because women are everywhere and motorcycles are hot everywhere. I think this is this is a great genre. First of all, women empowered stories, action is always great, racing is great, motorcycle is fun. This is a totally internationally relevant genre. I would not go low, like 50%, because I don't think the math is going to make sense if I remember this correctly. So I would check on that. I would stick with your minimum 70 to 75. I think you can deliver on this. You can do your domestic heavy lifting also, that's fine. but international seemed low for this kind of genre. It also gives me the wrong message. It gives me the message that you're saying, we have this great genre and it's strong in the US, but it's really not, you know, it's not traveling. It's what that basically says, which I don't think is true because your character is strong, multifaceted. You're developing a strong villain. So the story itself is very commercial.
Mhm.
So that's why I wouldn't undersell yourself.
Okay.
Fees for the credit are very high. I would probably take that $500,000 producer fee out for the tax credit lender. I've never seen that happening. The risk overview I loved. I love what you did there. You basically just gave me a chart and you explained everything. I love it. The legal disclaimer, fantastic. I forgot to mention this. It's probably always good to go everywhere. Please always put a legal disclaimer that says, these are just projections. You can lose all your money and else. So that was great. The bank robber thing. Not sure I connected with that necessity. I don't know how that came about. Maybe that's another thing you want to work on in your synopsis. I understand she needs to make money. She wants to save her dad. All that is great. If she's so is she getting the job because she's a great getaway driver? Is that what we're thinking?
She's basically so good at being on behind the bike that Sabrina, the mysterious customer, really wants to utilize her. But it's like, I guess there's different ways you can take it. You could say like she's manipulating maybe Sunset, or maybe she's taking her under a wing. There's kind of different directions you can go with that.
I would expand on that.
Okay.
These are my comments. That's it.
Okay.
Great. Well done, guys. I love the concept.
Definitely, there's something that we can work on more and more. Thank you so much for the feedback.
No, very fresh, very cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Who was next? I feel like I lost track.
We're next.
Okay.
Awaken.
I think my chair, I already unmuted you, co-hosted you. Who else? Do I need to call someone else?
No, just me. I'll be handling the presentation.
Perfect. Go, girl.
Okay. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. So good afternoon. We are Awaken. We're Fabrizio, Jessica, Maritere, Megan, and Riwa, and T.
Okay, so our project intro, Awaken, is a psychological thriller set in space. This is going to be a 90-minute film feature and will be shot in Puerto Rico and Texas. Awaken will deliver the mystery, suspense, and special effects that will captivate audiences, young and old. Awaken will have an A-list director, a world-renowned cast, and most is shot in green screen technology. This will be a 2-year project after release. When Awaken is about a team of 6 astronauts, they're awakened with amnesia, with a Neuralink in their head. The astronauts have no idea how they ended up in space. However, the Neuralink gate has given each astronaut each have unique abilities. The Earth is on in flames, and then now the astronauts have to combine their unique abilities to travel to Mars.
Okay, so a little bit more on the story. The premise starts with 6 astronauts that wake up in space and they have no idea how they got there. And in their ship, there's an AI that's giving them information, and he actually tells them that they forgot their memories because as a side effect of the Neuralink that they got inserted in their brain. That Neuralink gives them many benefits. It helps them how to think and access information, and it also helps the AI control their emotions through music. Which comes in very handy when they all start fighting about which rules should apply, what should we do, to the point that somebody ends up dead. When they finally get a signal from Mars, they decide that they need to work together in order to survive because there has to be something waiting for them on Mars. And to their surprise, the plot twist is that when they arrive on Mars, they're actually still on Earth, and this is all just a simulation to test the technology aboard the ship on a plan to colonize Mars. And the group's leader is actually behind it and the one that had the idea to erase their memories so that it wouldn't interfere with the experiment.
Right. So so Awaken is a psychological thriller that operates on several levels. There are certain themes that make this film relevant today, and we'll examine them as well as films that have also come before and had big success with these themes. So first and foremost is interplanetary colonization. Most leading scientists are saying that the next phase in human civilization has to be colonizing other planets. In fact, before Stephen Hawking died, he said that if humans don't colonize another planet within the next 100 years, we face the real threat of extinction. A movie that really portrayed this in a scientifically accurate way was The Martian, that had a lot of domestic and international success. Awaken also showcases several leading technologies that are beginning to make their way into human daily life. So two of the main ones in this film are AI and Neuralink, both of which are being, well, Neuralink is specifically linked to SpaceX, and AI an array of different private companies. There's a lot of pushback, people supporting it and people against it for various reasons. And we really want to tap into that. A couple of movies that use this technological kind of dichotomy are Ex Machina and Her. And then as the astronauts lose signal with the Earth and they get farther and farther away, the laws and customs that they're used to are no longer relevant. So their innate tribalism starts to emerge. It leads to rivalries, power struggle, and whatnot. This is a theme that has been relevant since the beginning of time for humans. It's pretty intrinsic to us as a species, and it's been portrayed in a lot of different films and stories, and one of the ones that influenced us was Lord of the Flies. In the end of the film, we realized that everything was a simulation all along and nothing was real. So the astronauts begin to question their reality. A philosophical dilemma emerges, and it's something that has been examined in films like The Matrix and Inception, and is something that we want to tie into Awaken.
So for our characters, we really wanted to represent a worldwide society. So we went for a very diverse cast that could also translate into international appeal. Our protagonist is going to be Anya. She's a very fast thinker leader, but when everybody on board realizes that she's the only one that can give birth and procreate, they become very overprotective of her, and they start to stall her investigation. She will be played by Priyanka Chopra because we feel she has a lot of international appeal, especially in the US and India markets. And we also really wanted a female minority in the lead. We also have Marcos. He's kind of the antagonist that's going to be challenging everything that's going on, but he's really not the villain, and he's really good, and he wants the best for the group. He's going to be played by Kevin Alejandro, who has had success in streaming platforms, attracting those audiences as well as Mexican audiences. We have May. She's going to be the motherly figure of the group who always wants to keep the peace and have everyone make decisions together. She's going to be played by Adina Porter, who is also successful in the streaming platforms, specifically in the 100 that has this kind of vibe as well. Eloise, she's going to be the neutral figure. She doesn't want to take sides. She never wants to make a decision. She thinks everything twice, to the point that she actually causes the death of another crewmate. She will be played by Audrey Tautou, who is very famous worldwide, but especially in Europe and Japan because of the Amelie movie and the Da Vinci Code. We have June. He is a resourceful and funny guy. He's very lovable. Audiences will really like him, so that when he dies, his death is really emotional and has an impact on both the group and the audiences. We want for him Choi Wook-chik. He's the actor from Parasite, so he's really big in South Korea, Japan, US, and China. And then we have Henry. He's an older, stubborn guy who's always fighting to preserve Earth customs, but he also has a really soft side to him, and we see him when he develops a romantic relationship with May, because we wanted to introduce a romantic storyline between the older characters as opposed to the traditional younger characters. And we wanted a big name actor for this one. This is Sam Neill. He's very famous worldwide because of the Jurassic Park franchise, and of course he has a big following in Australia as well, where he's from. Lastly, the AI is also going to be a character. the AI is actually going to be a really good character. You're always thinking, is the AI going to control them, take over? Is he the villain? But he actually just helps them all along. And this is going to be actually a cameo by Elon Musk. He loves doing cameos, and since he's going to be part of the movie as an executive producer, he's also going to be lending us his voice for this part.
For the team builds, we choose the following 3 people. The first one, it's a big shot. His name is Alfonso Caron. It's a Mexican film director, producer, screenwriter, cinematographer, and editor. The reason why we choose him because he is very famous, and he has received 11 Academy Award nominations, winning for including Best Director for Gravity and Roma Best Film Editing for Gravity. Next guy is David Heyman. Maybe you guys are familiar with his masterpiece. One of the most famous produced is Harry Potter. Besides this one, he also received 3 nominations for the Academy Award for Best Picture for Gravity. Most famous one is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Last one is Elon Musk. The reason why we choose him because he is super rich. Without his support, we cannot finish our film shooting. Next part should be over 6 members personal information and academic or career profile. So if you guys are interested over 6 members profile, you guys can read it after class.
Okay.
Riwa, you're on mute.
Sorry. So the directors and producers vision. The vision for the project is to create a film, Awaken, with a budget of $50 million. It will be released in U.S. and international. Alfonso Cuarón is an Academy Award winner. He's going to be the director for Awaken. He has worked on a range of genres, esteemed international talent. David Heyman, who is the founder of Heyday Films, is widely known for producing the Harry Potter film series. Elon Musk, who's the co-founder of Neuralink and OpenAI, will bring to the Awaken and introduce the concept of commercial space flight, Mars colonization, and this trio, the duo, producer, director, and along with Elon Musk, will give Awaken its success and will be greatly liked among all audience.
Okay, next I'm gonna talk about the location. So first, we're gonna do like most of our shots in the SpaceX space. And why we choose SpaceX space, you know, from the Google map, you can see the launch base. You can instantly feel the, you know, space vibe when you arrive there. And there's a brief location introduction of the SpaceX base. It's located in Boca Chica village, and it's quite like a quite incorporated town, which you wouldn't need to, you know, vaccinate people if you want to shoot there. And also, our project aligned with the mission statement, which is also, you know, they want to bring the humans to the moon. And it's also a win-win situation for our project and our main executive producer, because he has some overrun because of the previous launch of the rocket system. And most of our exterior shots will be done through green screen, and we are choosing exclusively green screen rather than green mix blue, is because of our exterior shots. Some of those parts include you know, the blue essence in there, and also our post-production will be like very fully dependent on that. And speaking of the Puerto Rico region, where we are going to use the green screen studios, because they have great tax incentives of 55% tax credits for the residents and 20% more for non-residents, which we are, we're gonna benefit from.
So jumping into the top sheet, we're aiming to have a budget of 15 million. It leans pretty heavily toward above the line just because we wanted to focus on getting a director and a cast that really had global influence and draw. One of the things to note in here also is it's really important for this film to have an extraordinary score and soundtrack. So the music line item is actually going to be financed through our music lender.
So for our comparable films, we've talked about already The Martian, Ender's Game, those movies that Fabricio mentioned, but a comparable film would be Event Horizon, which is a cult classic that really, really focused in on story, right? When it came out, it was not a blockbuster by any means, but it really grew a fan base over time and is fairly highly rated, as you can see, right? Another comparable would be Gravity, which it skewed more towards males in their 30s, right? But it had a strong box office base. And then we also have a comparable film with Inception. We're talking about thrillers. We're talking about things that are going to lure people in and get them get their heart beats going and thinking. Our sales estimates, our sales agent was Lakeshore Entertainment, which previously they did The Lincoln Lawyer, Age of Adeline. They deal with $15 to $65 million budgets. That's usually what they handle. They got us about 75% of the estimates that we were looking for. A big thing that we want to do is brand integration, right? We want to tap into that Elon Musk super fanboys and get those people in the game, right? Elon Musk is an executive producer for us, and he's somewhat involved with this film. We're filming at SpaceX. What we want to do is sneak peek future product for them. Possibly doing the Cybertruck somewhere in the film, or just using products that would get those fanboys interested in the door by teasing and marketing, just to let them know. Roscosmos is a space food company. We're gonna have the brand out there in the film, something that when the astronauts are sitting around eating, they're eating Roscosmos. Operation Solutions is an artificial intelligence company. The AI character that we have in the film would lean heavily on the Opera Solutions. And then there's Star Talk, which is a space podcast that has a strong fan base. We want to integrate them a little bit more with the film, have it talking in the background as a few of our characters are chit-chatting.
You're 15 million. Okay. So the budget for the film is 15 million. So we have our production expenses alone. We have our brand integration, which is 500,000. Our crowdfunding, which is 500,000. Our crowdfunding source amount gross is 300,000. The music investment, 150,000. And our net revenue is $3,475,650,000. And our profit participation for our producer is $2,361,831.
For this part, for the risk factors, I got this list from a professor's book, Anna Maria and I will revise the assumption part. For example, I think the most important part is the first one, like our budget cannot be fully recovered because during the shooting season, Puerto Rico is a hurricane season. So maybe we will experience some unexpected overages. Maybe the leading actor or leading actress, they will be at the same time they are invited by other group. So maybe he or she cannot show up on time, or maybe he or she got injured. Next should be the director. It's changing the script. It happens a lot because maybe some new idea came to the director, so he made some changes. I think if after we finish our film shooting, if we wanna distribute our film to some sensitive area like China, as we know, China, they normally have a strict film marketing entrance. So our product may not be released to the Chinese audience. For the next part, in order to solve those problems, we proposed some risk mitigation strategies like having the proper insurance, shooting in a tax incentive region, and have an equity investor, have a good agreement with the leading actors or actress, and doing proper research before having film shooting. Like we need to ask some professional person during which season we cannot take the film shooting. Last part is having a good agreement with the performance clause. So maybe some areas we cannot release our product, but we should not pay them the money to the sales agent. So we will not lose too much money.
Megan, you're on mute.
I thought I was killing it. Anyways, guys, so our target audience, we want to keep it as broad as possible. So adults with an interest in space. Similar films have performed well with males aged 30 to 44. They tend to go to those space movies and spend money. But we also want to, as a secondary audience, we want to target those science enthusiasts, people who are going to the Star Talk podcast, and also art house film viewers. Their loyalty to going to the cinema is fairly high. So we want to stick with them and go after those loyalists. Our positioning, obviously we want to get out, do OOH, get billboards out in major primary markets, New York, Dallas, Miami, Seattle. Do 30-second spots also on major sports networks. We also really want to, since we have this star cast, we want to get them out on media outlets and start conducting interviews and start building a buzz that way. We know the reason to watch is if we have a compelling story, we have award-winning talent, and there's vibrant visuals, right? This is a space film. It's going to bring people in that way. Our social and editorial approaches, we want to get recognizable influencers in science and space to come together and start talking about this. Some provocateurs like Elon Musk can actually go on Twitter and start getting people riled up and interested in the film that he's a part of, right? That space fanboy untapped market is really going to be a gold mine for us, right? We're also going to look at targeted ad campaigns on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. For our key art, we wanted to keep it as simple as possible, right? You're going to lure people in with intriguing visuals, but also we don't want to give away any plot points. We want to make sure that people are going to be able to enjoy that twist at the end. So what we did was our artificial intelligence character, Elon Musk, he's going to be a red dot that's flashing and pulsing. So we wanted to keep it fairly simple and keep that red dot in the middle of our key art and our posters.
So this is Awakening. It's coming to a theater near you very soon. So thank you very much.
Yay. All right, love it. Tim, you go.
Okay, so I don't know if the Elon Musk thing is real or imagined, but I think you're putting a lot of eggs in a very risky basket using him, if that's the case, because he is a genius, but he's also has all the quirks of a genius, which means he can be unreliable and turn on things like Bitcoin that he was once all for. I think the storyline is potentially very intriguing. It's not really fleshed out enough yet because it's not really clear to me. Are these people volunteers? Were they taken against their will? Did they agree to have their brains erased or their memories erased? So some of these things are not clear to me. I do think the idea that in the end we find out that they've been in the simulation that's been prepared for them might have like a crying game kind of, you know, shock reveal that you have to hopefully rely on that the audience will keep the secret for you, because obviously all you need is one idiot to kind of ruin it. It's intriguing because I think you can set up a lot of interesting storylines with people who, you know, have not real sense of who they are, but they're in this situation and they have to try to figure out a way to make the situation work. And then one of them actually does know everything. So I think you have a lot of interesting elements. I don't think you're there yet. I think you need to kind of work on this through line a little bit about who these people are, why they were chosen, what happens to them when they find out, that kind of thing. And again, I understand why you would go with Elon Musk, and I understand why he might have some interest in this. It's promoting his companies, it's promoting the Neuralink and all these things that are in there. I just think you could be setting yourself up for massive disappointment when he doesn't deliver ultimately.
Yeah, but in this scenario, we're taking it as the premise that he's already on board.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. I do think you have a possibility of making a very, very interesting project completely without him, honestly.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you necessarily need him. I think he's a nice little added, you know, as a support in the marketing. I don't know if you, I mean, if you say he's already there, we'll believe you. I have
someone better comes along.
Yeah, that's great. So I love the concept because I feel it is a new take on something, on a few things we have seen, but it's a fresh take. So I do like the reveal in the end. It was, in a lot of places, very theoretical. You know, you mentioned Stephen Hawking said we're going to have to leave the Earth, otherwise we're extinction. You have all, there's a lot of theoretical stuff in there, which I think is great to preface why it's relevant today. I think that's good, but I think you do need to go more into the story. I want to know who these 6 people are. I want to know what their deal is. I want to know how they ended up where they are. I'm finding it very hard to believe that there were 6 people not knowing, ending up on a spaceship without any kind of maybe even education, talent, whatever. I want to know what's the deal here. And I like the reveal that it's a simulation in the end, but it's still, throughout the movie, I'm made to believe they're on a spaceship. So I need to understand, are there just some people that they beamed out of their kitchen onto the spaceship, or are these trained astronauts, or who are these people? I also don't understand what the agenda is. Yeah?
I'm sorry. I just, one thing as you were talking, because I was thinking about this exact thing, is if these people agreed and volunteered to have their memories erased to do this experiment, right? We could still find maybe glimpses of their prior lives throughout the film, because they may just have memories that cannot be fully repressed.
Yeah.
They may come back to them.
We have more material to the story. We just reduced it for brevity. And actually, one of the plot points is that one of them actually remembers something from Earth, and that how that affects what they're doing.
Right. I have a hard time understanding what the benefit is for the person who puts them in the simulation. So the end goal of whoever is the bad guy behind it all, I have no idea. Is this kind of a thing where they're testing the link, the Neuralink?
They're testing all of the technology in a plan to colonize Mars.
Okay, that was not said, or maybe I missed it. Was it there?
It was there, but I think it was just, it's a hard story to get your arms around at this point.
I find it a little hard to wrap my arms around it, but it's also because I didn't connect to any of these people. And if I don't connect to the people, I don't care about the story. They might as well be blowing up in space. I don't care. So I want to know, who are these people? Why am I rooting for them? Why am I scared for them? Why do I care about them? That needs to be in there very early on. You know, maybe one is a mother and she left her kid at home. Maybe one, you know, or has a pet or a dog, something that makes them human and relatable to me. And then another thing that makes them special. Why am I watching them? What's going on with them? Obviously, they have to each have a character development. It can't just be that they leave Mars and then they get all, show the envy, and then they get all this other shit going on because they don't have to live up to the rules of Earth anymore. Now they get all nasty, all great and good. But I want to know why and how do they develop? How do they go from A to Z? So I need to see more of that.
Okay, I'm gonna work on a treatment and send it to you.
Yeah, please do. But in the pitch, to comparison to Absence of Death, for example, where the characters were described in 3 sentences and I got them immediately because the way they were described. You need just that. 1 page with 2 lines per character, who they are today, where they want to be, what's in the way, and why they're in the movie. How they're interplay with others. That just one side would explain so much and would help me understand the story. Hold on. The risks were great. I really like the fact that you brought risks up that are very real. For example, the risk of bankruptcy, with a sales agent. I mean, that's a very real thing. Obviously, there's a way to mitigate that, as we've learned. But I like the way you describe the risks because you make them very down to earth. So that was a beautiful way of describing them. I got lost when you said something about there is a loyal art house audience. To me, this is not an art house movie. This is a very commercial movie. So I didn't understand that comment, but maybe I missed something there. This is commercial. Yes, okay, it's shot on the stage and it feels like Passengers, in the sense that everything happens in a small green screenish kind of way, but that was also a very commercial movie. So even,
maybe because Alfonso Cuarón has a certain artistic aesthetic and a lot of art house people follow him too.
Yeah, but he also makes very commercial movies.
Yeah, he has a good mix of both.
Yeah, okay. So maybe I think with him one should focus on the movies that he's done that are similar to push the commercial audience, because you don't need to push the artist audience. It's great that they're there, but you make money with more people watching it. So you want to really go commercial and say, this man has a sensibility for in-depth character structure as proven by his art house movies, but he also has done very well in the commercial space. So that would then also explain to me, we're going into a character-driven piece with these 6 people, right? Hold on. Yeah, I think that was it to me. I like the visuals too because they were very simple. I like the poster. I thought that was a great idea. Just limited, just red dot. That would intrigue me. I think that. There was one comment about one woman that you just kind of threw that in there. They want to protect her because she can birth children. It was just kind of thrown in there. What's the concept of that, and why is that relevant?
Well, because she's the protagonist and she's a real fast thinker, so she's getting ahead of everyone with the clues. And in order to create some obstacles, we thought that maybe because she's the only one that can actually reproduce, which is a very important theme when you're talking about repopulating an entire planet, they all start getting very protective of her to the point that they don't let her investigate anything else, and that stalls her investigation.
I'm not buying that concept because you haven't established to me that women on Earth can't birth children anymore. You haven't established
because the Earth is inflamed. The Earth, it's gone.
Yeah. I'm just saying it. Yeah. Okay. Fine. That's good. That's helpful. But I think I think they can be protective of her in the sense that they want to protect her because she's valuable. I see that. But you can't stop someone who has an inquisitive mind from trying to research and trying to dig deeper, and you kind of need her to do that. And the fact that she puts herself in danger is good. That's what drives your movie. So the asset that you have, needs to be put, to the test, because that's what we're going with. Like, oh my God, something happens to her, the end of humanity kind of thing, right? So that I would stress.
Okay.
I think what's happening is you have the basics of a very intriguing story that can take many paths, but the problem is it's really not clear in your pitch the path you've decided to take.
Yeah.
That's what I think we're reacting to.
It feels like from when you're giving responses to our comments, it feels like you've thought this through. I just feel like it's not in the pitch deck the way you thought it through. So that's the only thing, but I love the concept. I think it's a fantastic idea. So I want you to put exactly all that in there.
Okay, cool.
It doesn't have to be more 15 different slides. It just has to be some different slides that are more driven by the content and the motivations of the characters. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes, of course. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome thing. All right. Yay. Who do we have? Dan, are you next? All right, let me unmute you. Sorry, not unmute. Make you a co-host.
And actually, it's Dominique who's going to be sharing our deck. But yeah, I think we're last but not least.
There you are, Dominique. I see you up there right next to me. Co-host, yes. And then who else do I need to co-host?
Nicole.
Nicole. Hold on, let me find Nicole.
Oh.
Nicole. Why am I not finding her? What the hell am I missing her?
Right here.
There you are. What the hell? Thanks. Here we go. Co-host. Done. You go.
Okay. Oops, sorry guys. Okay, so our group is Dan, Dominique, Cheryl, Nicole, Alice, James, and Tyler, and we are doing a revision of the 1975 Shampoo. So our tagline is, in a tangled web of sensual adventure, an aspiring salon owner takes full advantage of her client's sexual appetite while risking losing everything. So just imagine a drama-entangled rom-com reboot of the 1975 film Shampoo, written by Robert Towne and Warren Beatty, based off of the true-life Beverly Hills hairdresser Jean Chakov's story. The life rights and the rights of the original film will be obtained for the production from the original distribution company, Columbia Pictures, and production company Rubiker Films / Persky Vista Bright. So, okay, it's 1960. Everybody has a secret. George wants Jackie, who is having an affair with Lester, who is really Felicia's husband, whose wife is also dating George, so she hates Jackie, while Jill is in a committed relationship with George, at least she thinks. Now, in the 2020 version, everybody has a secret. Georgia wants Jack, who is having an affair with Leslie, who's really Felix's wife, whose husband is also dating Georgia, so he hates Jack. While Jamie is in a committed relationship with Georgia, at least he thinks. So Shampoo is based off of the original film from 1975. Although this screenplay doesn't take place in the 1960s, instead, our fresh remake takes place in 2021, during the rise of female empowerment. Our lead character, George, now Georgia, is a successful hairstylist in Beverly Hills. With her expertise and her growing prestige in the industry, she seeks an investor to fund her own hair salon. Meanwhile, Leslie, Felix's wife, strikes an interest in the project investment. Little does she know, Felix is having an affair with Georgia. On the other hand, Leslie is having an affair, a secret affair with Jack, who is also dating Georgia. Georgia develops a fondness for her clients despite being in a committed relationship with Jamie. She manages to feed her sexual appetite by always finding room for dessert. She leads 3 men on a wild chase, but eventually everything comes full circle. So there are some differences and some similarities between the 1975 version and the 2021 version. Basically, the 1975 version was set in the 60s. The lead character was a male, George, 3 female interests, and George's last pick was Jill. Felicia is Lester's wife and having an affair with George. Jackie is Lester's mistress and dating George. In the new version, we're gonna have Georgia be the lead character. She'll have 3 male interests. Jamie is Georgia's last pick. Felix is Leslie's husband and having an affair with Georgia. Jack is Leslie's boy toy and dating Georgia. The similarities will be the same motive, the same ideas. Essentially, they'll still want the same thing of owning their own hair salon. There's going to be lots of sex appeal, and then the lead will end up alone. And we will need a stunt double probably for this one, but the lead will definitely ride a motorcycle, and there's these complicated love triangles that will take place throughout the film. So our lead character is going to be Jennifer Lopez, and I'm so sorry.
Jennifer Aniston. I like too.
She is a good one, actually.
Yeah,
Now that
she would be good.
but we're gonna go with Jennifer Aniston in this lead role. She's hot off of Friends right now. We think that this would be a seductive, fun role for her to sort of change up her pace and be more of a female empowered woman within her role. Georgia, again, is the lead character. She's sexually empowered, self-aware, but she is a self-saboteur. But she always has an appetite or desire for, her desires always get in the way of her success. So we are going with the writer, director, Nancy Meyers. Nancy has written and directed hit films that her audience have been able to gravitate towards past their prime. She has had one of the highest grossing films directed by a female under her belt, which is What Women Want. And then she perfectly captures the female perspective through her romantic comedies. We feel like she would just be the perfect director to create this comedic atmosphere within this romantic comedy. So our lead men, we have Daveed Diggs, who is hot off of Hamilton and obviously has great hair. So we thought that he would be a great pick for our Jamie character, which is a naive, struggling actor. He is George's boyfriend, the main boyfriend at least, and he is the best friend with Jack. The next one would be Justin Baldoni, and he is well known from The Bold and the Beautiful, as well as Jane the Virgin. And he is going to be the international gold digger, ultimately the object of George's affection. We have Warren Beatty as Felix, and if you don't know, he was in the original. He was in the original film, and so he's going to be the jealous house husband, most possessive of Georgia and their affair, and he's going to be extremely wealthy. So our tone is going to be a lot like She's Gotta Have It, in the essence of there's going to be a lot of sex appeal throughout the film. We also want to incorporate something that's very romantic, comedic, not a family movie in the sense that we will gain the audience of mother and daughter, but not necessarily a full family movie. So we're going along the lines of Overboard. And then we also would like to incorporate the tone of Nancy Meyers, which she has a distinctive tone within her films of her romantic comedies as well. So the tone of Jamie is going to be very like t-shirt, jeans type of a guy. Jack is going to be in style, well-dressed wherever he goes. And Felix is the wealthy older man who is looking fabulous, but also just going along with his business, his everyday business. So Georgia, because we've chosen Jennifer Aniston, who has been known for the Rachel, we already know that her hair is fabulous, so we are going to play that up within the film. But her whole tone is going to be very motorcycle-esque. She works within an atmosphere that is very man-dominated, so therefore she has to stand her ground. So she is kind of that badass sort of chick who rides a motorcycle and wears leather pants. Our production element locations will mainly be in Atlanta, Georgia, and the second unit location in Los Angeles. We just feel that both cities have a great vibe for the story, a very fast-paced city vibe that we're looking for. And so this is sort of the salon that Georgia will be working in, something that's very dark, woodsy, whiskey filling, sort of someplace that men go to get their hair cut. And yeah, so for the locations of the apartments, again, Jack's apartment is going to be very in style. Jamie's is going to be very plain. George's apartment is a bit of a mess, as her life is reflecting that very well. And Felix's apartment is, or I'm sorry, his mansion is going to be very large. We are going to most likely use his mansion twice for scenes with Georgia, as well as for the big party scene at the end. So the production elements and risks that we have are mainly motorcycle. We will probably most likely have to have a stunt double for Jennifer Aniston. There are IP rights for the original movie, but we should be able to get those without a problem. And then just renting the big set for the mansion, for Felix's mansion, which will house the party as well as any other scenes that take place between Felix and Georgia. So I will throw it over to Nicole.
Yeah, so we are confident that this movie could be a success based on the comparisons with similar projects we've seen. So in terms of similar projects from Nancy Meyers, we saw box office revenue of 125 million for Something's Gotta Give, and internationally it did 142 million. So worldwide did really well. For What Women Want, again, a huge success, both domestic and internationally. And then looking at two kind of more modern day movies that are similar in theme, we have Trainwreck, which did 110 in the domestic box office and still 31 million internationally, as well as another remake movie. So Overboard is a remake that was done, I believe, in 2018, and it still did pretty well, both domestic and internationally. And as Dominique mentioned earlier, our target audience is going to primarily be females between the ages of 18 and 60. We also think that based on our diverse cast, it'll appeal to diverse audiences, so it will still do well both domestic and internationally. And it's going to probably have some raunchy scenes, so R rating is what we're guessing it will end up being. And then some projects with overlapping demographics would be She's Gotta Have It, Sex and the City, which did incredibly well, Overboard, and How to Be a Latin Lover.
All right, so I'm going to talk to everybody today about some of the marketing and distribution that we have in mind for this. So we see this having a very broad appeal, as Dominique and Nicole were just talking about, but we also want to get super targeted in the way that we're marketing the film. So of course we have a giant star at the front of it, so Jennifer Aniston. So we want to make sure that we are really leveraging TV and out of home, where across major cities in the U.S. and internationally. But we also want to get really specific to the actual kind of bits and interests that are featured within the film. So things like making sure that we have a presence at places like beauty conventions and motorcycles and car shows. We've pitched this idea of doing a quote salon takeover, which is essentially like an out-of-home extension that lives within kind of high-class salons like across major cities across the US. We thought that was really fun. We would, of course, have a panel at the premiere because we think it's a really, this is an important story to tell right now. I think like we're really excited about the sort of flipping the script and turning it into a story that really is about female empowerment. And so we want to make sure that we're able to really leverage that at places like the premiere. We want to make sure that we're really using the cast to do Instagram and social shout outs. And we think that we can actually shoot a whole lot of really fun EPK on set to include not only as special features, but also things that we can use across social that we think will really drive a lot of interest. We want to really lead with some female-centric digital media partnerships. We know that there are places out there with huge female audiences, brands like Refinery29, Bustle. I happen to work at BuzzFeed, and I know that we have a really, really large female audience that we would want to take this to. We're thinking theatrical when it comes to release here, but we're also in talks with Amazon and Hulu for second window. And I know that Hulu is actually looking to expand internationally in the coming years. So that could be a really fun, addition there. There's lots of opportunities for brand partnerships here and product placement. So hair products, it goes without saying, like we're in talks with Paul Mitchell to really kind of come in and come on board from a product placement standpoint. There's a lot when it comes to alcohol brands, like it's a very kind of like party film. And so there's lots of opportunities for brands like Diageo, who we're currently in talks with. Other clear kind of like product placement opportunities are with car brands and motorcycles, and then also for watches and menswear, specifically for characters like Jack and Felix, who maybe are a little bit more, elevated in terms of their dress and style. We're in conversations with Rolex about coming on board for product placement there, and we're super excited to continue those conversations. So on the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about the budget and sales estimate. We've been working closely with DDI on identifying some great numbers. So our budget is coming in at a total of 25 million. Most of this, as I would imagine people would perhaps think, is going to be spent on above the line. Dominique mentioned before that we do have a couple of big set pieces like the party scene at the end of the film. However, much of the rest of the film is rather contained in how we're planning on producing it. And therefore we think that 25 million is a pretty feasible budget for us to pull this together. We've got some in-kind services, which include an original song from Daveed Diggs, which we're really, really excited about. And we've also been in contact in Georgia with some local salons about putting together some sort of a local makeup and hair partnership where we can actually bring people from local salons on board the film to be working with us in the hair and makeup department in exchange for a credit in the film, which is great. So our sales estimates are coming in at 70% of our total production budget. And we've actually closed 3.9 million in international pre-sales. And the reason that we're shooting in Georgia is because it unlocks pretty major incentives for us for the production. It's rounding out to be more than 5 million. And the reason that is because we're partnering with Georgia to include the peach logo in our credits. So we're unlocking the higher level tax incentives and for working in that state. So we're really excited to have somebody come and join us. We're looking for an equity. We're looking for an investor to come on board with a 10.13% equity stake in the project. That comes out to be just under 2.5 million. That will, of course, we will include a 20% premium on the back end, in addition to contingent comp. And we have all of our financial details, budget, top sheet, and financial plan that we're happy to share with everyone. So thank you for joining us, and we hope that you'll come on board.
Thank you. Love the visuals. All right, Jim, you go.
Sure. So I think while I do think there is something to be said about doing this remake and flipping the script, making it female than male, I think you have a bigger decision to make, which is R versus PG-13, because Nancy Meyers is a PG-13 type of filmmaker, and Shampoo was very risque for its time. It really pushed the envelope. It was borderline, not X, but it was hard. And I don't see how you make a mother-daughter film that's R-rated, maybe PG-13. And again, it's up to you. You lessen your audience if it's R. And it seems to me you could do a PG-13 because obviously there are things that are more allowed and people are used to today in PG-13 films. So I think that's one of the things to think about. Actually, I thought your mistake of Jennifer Lopez, she would also be an excellent lead for this project. As with there are several actresses who could play this, and I think it's, again, I like the idea of flipping the script, making it female, and assuming you can get the rights. I definitely think Hollywood loves reboots, and so this would be a really fun type of reboot except making the male character female. Honestly, Warren Beatty feels a little old to me to have a romance with Jennifer Aniston, but maybe that's just me.
Look who's talking.
I know, right? I got a younger wife, so I lucked out.
I lucked out. Anyway, so here's the deal. I have not seen Shampoo, so I'm sorry to report. I'm totally obnoxious, which may not be the case for many people, who will see this pitch. But for those who haven't seen it, I think you need to introduce us to what it actually is and what the movie is about. I like the way you start with this, with this chart of who's doing who, which I think is hilarious. But then I would really want to go into, okay, let's give us an elevated version of this. And I didn't see Shampoo, but my guess is if it was done in the 90s or the 70s or the 80s, the story development or the storytelling is different than it is today. Today, we need multifaceted characters, we need multi-plot stories, we need them all to make sense, we need them all to be diverse, we need them all to be gender, this, that, and the other. And if you do a subject matter that deals a lot with sex, you need to deal with gay, transgender, you need to put all that in there. Because if this is the button you want to push, you need to push it to the envelope and not just be half-assed. I am not sure Nancy Meyers is the right one for that either, for the very reason Jim mentioned. I also don't know if she's done anything recently that would be noteworthy. I'm just not up to par with her career. So I think you would want to put something in fairly recent. I think you can also go with the director who's a little hipper and hotter, because the subject matter is pretty hip and hot. It's trend, it's fashion, it's makeup, it's hair. It feels like it wants to be more edgy to me, especially with all the sex in there and all the intrigue and all the juicy stuff. I wouldn't mind it to be R-rated, but I would then push for that. I would go all the way. If you do an R-rated movie, go all the way, go insane, give me outrageous characters. I would do a mix between Pose meets what's it got this HBO series, Euphoria meets Project One Way. I mean, I just, throwing it all in there, but I think you can go and be very edgy, and because I got the sense that this wants to be something edgy, like really now, happening now kind of thing. That's the sense I'm getting from how you pitched it. It's not quite in the presentation. So I would urge you to be forceful on that, or go the PG route and do an Nancy Meyers. Also okay. A little more boring. I think you have something. If you want to go all out, go all out.
Maybe you want Greta Gerwig to direct it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I think you can. The risks that you mentioned are not real risks, because they're all covered by completion bonds. Yes, you have a mansion. Okay, you can get a mansion today in Malibu for $8,000 a day, or $5,000 a day. It is, and they're all insured. So that's to me not a real risk. A risk is, well, all the risks that we can identify, we have covered. I mean, there isn't anything production-wise that you can't cover with the completion bond. I think the risk would be that you're going into a genre that is R-rated, where you don't know how it's going to play in the theaters and how it's going to be sold international. So I would be risky I would be mindful of your limited audience and sales. So I would probably reduce the budget. I would probably reduce the sales estimate to reflect that risk a little, because whenever you push hard on something that is edgy, you don't know how it's going to go. But you do have enough. I'm trying to think about recent theatricals that push the envelope. I cannot think of any, but I can think of a lot of TV shows.
Maybe Hustlers. We are
Hustler, but still, very softy mofty. I mean, it's like some hookers, taking care of clients. Okay, well, to me, this is more than that. More. So I would want to see that envelope pushed. I would want to see this character to be very, very diverse. I would want to know about the characters and their drama. When I hear hair salon, I hear drama, 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 drama. They all talk about what's going on at home and how the husband's cheating, and then how the dog needs to go to the vet. And they have all these stories, big importance, small importance. I would throw all that shit in there. You have an option for humor here that I would also add. I would elevate this thing, R-rated comedy, R-rated edgy, risky comedy. I would go all the way with this thing. That's my first sense of it. It's something that I would definitely watch. So I think you have a little jewel here, but you were very gentle with the jewel. Well, long story short, if that makes any sense. I think it's going to be hard to get these rights out of the studio. When studios have a brand, they don't like to get it out. But since you are going that route, you can suggest something where you go to the studio and say, we'd like to redo it, we'd like to help you. We might do a co-production or something.
Yeah.
I was going to say also, I did another research on it, and it looked like the rights were owned by the other company, which is the Bright, Vista Bright.
Okay, it sounds like it's right with the producer then.
Okay.
Okay, that's great. So you don't have to deal with the studio. If they have the rights, you can go to them and say, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a little baby and I make it fresher, newer, bolder.
Jeanette,
You know what?
they could partner with someone like Robert Court, then go in and get the rights.
That's also true. That's true, Robert. But yeah, why not? But I do think, yeah, you can be all out. I mean, this would be, you know, maybe it's the first movie that Ryan Murphy is going to do. I don't know. So, you know, something like that. I just feel it's big and bold. I don't know if that makes any sense. The visuals didn't really match that big and boldness. When I hear big, bold, sexy, I don't see a dark brown hair salon. I see more like a modern, flashy, you know, get your cappuccino, your vodka with something in it, kind of client situation, massages. I see high class luxury, you know, I don't know if it makes sense. You know, the visuals didn't make sense. They didn't all fit, is all I'm trying to say. So I would think that visual concept through with the pushing the button, pushing the envelope concept component. If you intuitively feel this makes sense to you, obviously if not, I totally get it. But that's why I would, yeah.
And Jeanette, just to clarify that point, I think like maybe something that doesn't come across in the presentation is that she's a, you know, a hairstylist, but works, like many of her clients are men. So it's like a very masculine kind of a masculine hair salon type thing. And so that's what I think that it probably wasn't very clear.
No, I think it was clear. And you brought up a question. Why only men?
Well, her character specifically only services men. Okay. And that's just part of her character in general, her character flaw. I guess in a sense, yeah, the salon doesn't necessarily have to be only a man salon.
I think you just have more options if you do both. Okay. But if you want to stick with just men, I can get it. I mean, I see that too. But even if it's a male-driven salon, if it is dark like that and cozy mosey, like cigar loungy, I would make it a European loungy cigar lounge, European boutique hotel vibe cigar lounge kind of thing. If that makes sense. Think of Nobu as a male salon. Does it, you know? It's more like that, because even that you need to elevate, because we're not in a barber shop, I think. And if we are, let's push it. The motorcycle thing, well, she was also doing motorcycle stuff, right? We have like the motorcycle thing today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of cool. Goes with her character. I think I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I like that. But I do see the salon as also something that is, you know, hipper, maybe something we haven't seen before. There's a lot of things in this movie that I would like to see that we haven't seen before that are very timely. Visually, I mean, if that makes sense. Yeah, that was it. I'm shutting up now. Did we do everyone? Did I miss anyone? You guys did great. You had fantastic ideas. They were very different, other than the motorcycle team, which showed up twice. Very different, and I love what you did, and I'm glad we got a chance to talk about this in so much detail. I hope everyone learned about the comments for the other project as well, because that's kind of the idea, to kind of compare the various projects and see what kind of comments we come back with. So I think
Jeanette, if I could say one little thing.
Yeah.
You know, I had went and did a little background on the guy that did the part with the motorcycle rider girl. There's 13 Black women who were abused, and they were able to form this organization where they take in abused women, and now they're rough, hardcore bikers, and people are now intimidated by them. So
I love it.
To have a twist. Yeah, I just wanted to say that.
That's great. That's a nice comment. That's good input. All right, guys, I don't want to take more of your time. I think I took a lot of your time. I can't believe it's as late as it is. This is terrible. I feel bad, but I hope you enjoyed the session, the very long damn session. And yeah, and you know where to find me. If you had questions, always email me. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. So don't feel like, you have to digest all this information and then you have to start over when you start your first project. So lean on me when you do your first project and always feel free to reach out. I let you go now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I have a question before you let us go.
Yeah.
For people who have office hours today, are they happening or are they going to shift?
You know what? It's 2:30. I don't even know when. I lost track of office hours.
So
Do you have one? Did you have one?
I do. It's not urgent. I can just move it. I just didn't know if you had them stacked. So now everyone's.
You know what? Let me check on that. I have no idea. I was so enticed by everything that's happening today.
Yeah, but you've been sitting there for a long time, and I think all you've had was a muffin.
You know what? Why don't we? If anyone has, I mean, with you, Joseph, I can probably talk to you tomorrow. Is that okay if you had it?
Yeah. No problem. We'll shift it.
Anyone else on here that has office hours with me today? Mary?
Yeah, I did.
Let me do it tomorrow then with you too.
That's better.
You guys. And
Okay.
then have a nice afternoon coffee tomorrow.
Okay.
Love meeting everyone. Thank you.
Meeting everyone.
Good to see you, Jim.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.